Lotus matches or machetes?
I don't know. There was some screaming earlier, so maybe it was machetes.
Okay.
And that was a great intro for the show. Hello, everybody. I'm Trey Ratcliffe. Nice to see you. We're going to have a little hangout here. We have all kinds of photographers and nice, cool, interesting people in here. We're going to have a little round-robin intro period and then let the discussion drift in many varied directions. So sitting here very close, I guess we should talk to her first and stop talking about her in the third person as if she isn't here. This is Lotus Carrol. Lotus, say hello and tell us about you and your website and this sort of stuff.
Hello. I live in Austin. I blog at sarcasticmom.com. I'm a mommy blogger. I'm a freelance writer, blogger, and photographer, and I spend a lot of time on G+.
Cool. And you just spent a ton of time at a photo walk with Scoble and Thomas just last week.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm glad you were able to. We're here in Austin, so we figured we'd get together and chill out. So let's jump over to Jeremy Cowart. Jeremy, are you still here? Did he drop out?
Uh-oh.
He wrote that his internet speed is ridiculously slow. I
hope no.
This works on my end.
Oh, no. Well, he was here for a quick minute. Let's hope he is able to snake his way back in. So instead, let's go to Thomas Hawk. Hello, Thomas.
Hey, Trey. How's it going?
Fine.
Big
Give
fan.
us your scoop.
Big fan of yours. Lifetime, you know, all that. No, I'm Thomas Hawk. I'm a Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area based photographer. I have a blog at thomashawk.com. Twitter, Thomas Hawk, Google Plus, Thomas Hawk, Flickr, Thomas Hawk, pretty much all that stuff. So, I like to take pictures, like you.
Cool. That was wonderfully understated and everything. But everyone knows you, and everyone loves Thomas Hawk, except for the people that hate him.
Which is a lot of them out there,
yeah.
actually.
Why do you have so many haters? You're a pretty likable guy.
I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't blog so much.
Yeah, stop having opinions. That's pretty much the best way.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump to Gordon Laing in Queenstown, New Zealand. He's outside. He'll give us a little tour of what he can see.
Hi, Trey. Thanks for having me. I'm CameraLabs.com. That's where I review digital cameras and lenses and accessories and all that kind of stuff. So if you're into checking out new gear and reviews of it, come and have a look. As Trey said, I'm based in Queenstown, New Zealand. This is The View. It's Monday morning here in Queenstown. We have a different time down here, you see. And this is what we see right now. Unfortunately, I'm also freezing my things off, and my mic's not working so well outside, so I'm going to head inside now. So the view's not going to be so good, but hopefully you'll be able to hear me better. Thanks for having me.
Sure, Gordon. Thanks. Let's jump over to Mike Wiacek from Google. Hello, Mike.
Hey,
tell
guys.
us about you and your life.
So, let's see, I work on Google's security team, and it's always a fun stuff, and when I'm not working, I try and go out and take some pictures. What do I shoot? I mostly kind of shoot landscape stuff. Trying to get into more shooting people, and I got this recently. This is my Quadra here, Elinchrom Quadra. I love this little thing. It's tiny and like super bright, really nice light. And yeah, that's about it. You can see more of my work at right here on Google Plus.
Excellent. Nice to meet you, Mike. Let's say hello to Kelly, who's in front of her refrigerator with little inspirational notes tagged to it, no doubt.
How'd you guess? I'm Kelli Kim. I grew up in Oregon. I live in New Jersey now. I'm a stay-at-home mom with my 2 boys. Recently got the photography bug, and I'm trying to work out the kinks. Totally love it. Macro seems to be the thing that is calling my name at present, so I've been trying that on for size, and hopefully we'll continue to get better and better and better with your help.
Well, it's good that you're just getting started. I think all of us feel like we're still, just getting started. So, but feel free to ask any of us any questions anytime. There's all kinds of expertise here. Probably couldn't ask for a better group of people. Let's say hello to Scott Jarvie. Hello, Scott.
Hello, Trey. How are you?
Fine. I am fine, Scott Jarvie. Tell us about you, Scott.
I am Jarvie. I shoot people, and that's kind of my story. And I put a lot of that stuff up on Google Plus.
All right.
And I travel a lot, but weddings mostly.
It's probably safe to say you shoot people with a camera, I hope.
Yes.
All the talk of machetes and whatnot.
All right. When we opened this up to the public, we had so Scott joined us. So did Jim Davis. Jim, tell us about you.
Hey everybody. Yeah, I'm a nature landscape photographer up here in Canada. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just on my phone, so I wasn't sure how I was connected. But yeah, I shoot nature landscape up in Canada, and I've been doing it for about 25 years, so really enjoy it.
All right. Excellent. And last but not least, Keith Barrett. Tell us about you,
Thanks,
Keith.
Trey. I'm Keith Barrett of keithbarrett.com and keithbarrett.tv. And I just came back from a Kelby photo walk over at Walt Disney World Epcot.
All right. How did that go?
My first one. It was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of people, and of course I'm just doing point and shoot right now because I haven't bought my DSLR yet, but it was still a great time, and it was a good experience.
All right. Excellent. Hey, tell people about this new channel you're launching on your website. Is that, maybe I shouldn't have said anything, but
Yeah, I'm not ready.
Go ahead.
I'm not ready to talk about that yet, but it's going to be really, really soon.
okay.
I just need one more
All
weekend
right.
with it.
Cat's out of the bag.
Well, Keith, I really wanted to thank you for, you've been hosting and broadcasting these things for a while. And I appreciate it. I think I'm getting a YouTube live channel soon, so I might start doing that over there. But, I appreciate you, and I hope other people come to you and start using your services there, because it's been great. There's really no other way to get these things broadcast and recorded for people. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I hope I can continue to do it with the live channel as well. But it's still a lot of fun, and we can do the backgrounds that we've been doing for your channel and things like that. So there's still a lot of possibilities with this. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's fantastic. All right, so let's start talking about some of the new photos that you guys have been working on. Because this is the sort of thing, this hangout. These are the kind of people that I love hanging out with all the time, and this is just sort of we just discuss stuff, right? Sort of inside baseball type stuff. And even though I'm kind of hosting this thing or whatever, feel free to interrupt me at any time or ask each other questions. Very, very casual, very laid back, but I'll try to guide it around so we get some variety and whatnot. But let's start with Thomas. Maybe Thomas, show us, because we're using this Google Plus with extras. You can share your screen and you can
Sure.
talk us through some of your new photos.
Yeah, today I've been working on Austin City Limits photos from the festival. So let me share this screen, and I'll put a few things up. Share screen. Okay.
We don't see anything yet. By
Yeah,
the
it's
way.
not. What am I doing wrong? Let me try this again. Share screen. Okay, here we go. Share split window. Okay, can you guys see it now?
Yeah, we see it now.
Okay, so these are just mostly today. I'm about 2 years behind on my backlog of my archive photos to do. In normal day-to-day stuff, I'm working on like January 2010, I think. But sometimes I'll skip ahead, and so I went to the Austin City Limits Music Festival weekend before last, along with Robert Scoble, and Lotus Carrol, and Dell was nice enough to have us down there, and they gave us photo passes, which were great because we were right there in the pit on, shooting all the bands. And so I processed some right away and posted a few up, but I spent the last couple of days processing about 343 photos of the festival, mostly live music, so mostly stuff like this. That's Coldplay, Chris Martin of Coldplay, and a lot of it's, you know, just doing different processing elements. Lotus posted a photo similar to this of him doing stuff in black and white. You know, you'll get different blue backgrounds, stuff like this.
That's awesome.
And so a lot of these, once I process these photos, they'll go into my to be uploaded folder where I've got about 20,000 photos right now. And then occasionally, you know, every day I pull from those for uploading new stuff. So this was
hey, Thomas, on that very first one, can you,
yeah.
Was that the after or the before, or is that right out of the camera?
Oh, no. I process everything pretty heavily. So let's go back to that one. I'll show you the before and after if you want to see it.
Yeah, I think people would really like to see it. I know I'd like to see it, but I figure so would all these other people.
Yeah, so that's the final photo that I made of that one, and I just actually put that one on Google+. But, you know, if we go back to, let me go back to the develop module. If we go back to the beginning of that photo, when I created a virtual copy, so there's a virtual copy, so it would have to come from this photo. Okay, so the original version, the very first version of that photo was that.
Okay.
So I went from this, which is just kind of mediocre. It needed to be cropped in tighter. It doesn't really pop. There's not much contrast. I love
what
the
were your
stuff
settings and stuff in your camera and your lens and that sort of thing?
On this photo, I was at 1/8000th of a second at f2. I was shooting at ISO 3200 with my 135mm f2. I love the depth of field I get at f2, and if I catch the focus right, you know, I can get really nice backgrounds. And I wanted like the hand in the foreground. If you'll see in the final photo, it's out of focus. So, you know, to go from that to this, see how the hand here is kind of more out of focus. So I like the shooting at f2. There wasn't a lot of light there, but I also wanted to shoot at a very fast shutter speed because he was moving around a lot, and I really wanted to stop the action. And ISO 3200 is kind of pushing it, but with the Canon 5D Mark II, that's about as high as I feel really comfortable going, although I shoot at 6400 too sometimes. So
yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
So that's, yeah, I shot, you know, just a lot of the different things at the festival. I love this band, the Bright Eyes. I've been a big fan of theirs for a while, and they had some interesting stuff. They had a female singer that was with them, and from another band, and just shooting a lot of the fans. I loved shooting, you know, just people in the audience and stuff, and, you know, catching the reflections on the sunglasses. And this is the band, the something Smith Westerns, I think. So just a lot of live music. So that's kind of what I've been working on. And I think there's even one of Lotus in here somewhere. Where is the one of Lotus? Since she's here with us. Oh, there she is. She's sleeping. So.
It was very tiring.
That's awesome.
It was. We were so tired. This was in the sort of VIP lounge area, and Lotus just took a nap, so I snagged a picture. But yeah, it was fun. That was a lot of fun, and I like shooting it, and it was a great opportunity to get in there in the pit and shoot and have a great time. That's Ray
Cool.
La Montagne. Anyways, so that's some of my stuff.
Thank you, Thomas. That was cool. Lotus is digging around here on her computer for some pictures, so we'll see her perspective on the same thing. I can already see what she's about to pull up here.
Yeah, so when I saw the one he was showing, because I had actually pulled that one to show.
So you don't do this, click share screen.
Lotus, are you going to share that picture that you took while I took that picture of you sleeping?
Here she goes. She's sharing away.
So that was one of the ones I was actually going to show.
There we
It's
go.
a lot like one of the ones that you showed.
Yeah.
It looks so much different there.
Yeah.
It looks a lot different.
So talk through this and tell people what you did differently than Thomas, or
Wow.
the same, or
I like the square crop.
Some guy told me to do that.
Yeah.
You might know him. Let's see. Oh no, I created a virtual copy, so I don't. It did look like this before. Is it going?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And I was really unsure about it.
that's cool too.
And I like it, but the reason why I ended up going square at Thomas's advice was because I've noticed that when I share photos that are portrait oriented on G+, they don't get as much engagement. And I think it's because they present in the stream smaller, because they're sized by height instead of width. So like the landscape oriented and the square crops seem to get more attention. So, well, I really liked it like this.
Have you noticed that too, Thomas, that these portrait orientations get less comments because they're just tinier and less interesting in the stream?
Yeah, I think they're smaller. The bigger the picture, the more engagement.
And so that's actually what drove my decision to take it to that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how we're changing what we share based on the mediums in which we share them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I would totally put the first version on Flickr or whatever.
Right, right.
I like both versions. I think they're both great.
You know, one good thing about Google Plus too, to me, is that the noise Nazis that are out there, the people that always complain about noise, you know, you can't even see it on these. You don't even see noise. You know, you could shoot this at 6400 and no one would know if it was noisy.
Oh well, I think this was actually shot really.
So she's going to show us a high noisy one now. What camera were you using, Lotus?
Canon 7D. This was this picture of Chris Martin was actually shot at 6400. So.
Which one?
Lotus, which lens did you use?
The one I just showed, that was at 6400. I shot it at 6400.
You know, the noise reduction technology in Lightroom is so good these days that you can get away with that too.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure. So let's jump over to you, Gordon. Gordon, you're kind of known as a camera guy on Camera Labs. You're sort of Mr. Hardcore Hardware. You know, you're my go-to guy whenever I have any hardware questions. But you also take a lot of photos. So show us some of your work.
Yeah, it's been really nice being able to share a lot of pictures on Google Plus, and so far people haven't told me to clear off too much, so I can't be doing anything too wrong. Now I have to make an admission here that I'm going to be doing this on my relatively new MacBook Air, and as someone who's a recent convert from Windows, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so please forgive me, and I'll just be browsing these through the Finder, so I won't be able to do anything clever like in Lightroom. So let's have a look at the. So I just click share screen and then try and put something interesting up there, right?
Yeah, that's right. Click share screen and then click on whichever screen you want to share. A little hint might be if you don't want to look at it in the Finder, you could open it in preview and then you could share that preview window so it's nice and big and easier for you to talk through it.
So can you guys see anything yet? Can you see any of my screen?
Not yet.
We still
So
see
what
your shining face.
So I
You gotta
click share
click-
screen.
You got to click share, and then did you click like OK? Pick the screen and then click OK. Try to do it again.
Yeah, I don't see an OK button, so I click share screen.
And then
Oh, right. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, what is this we're looking at? Oh, did he drop?
Oh no.
Well, he's probably not a big fan of sharing his screen now that he dropped.
It says 10 participants.
Well, I think Dustin just slipped in and took his spot.
Am I supposed to leave?
That's
Bro.
okay. Maybe the photo he was sharing was just so incredible, it just blew him right off the internet.
Did I just kick Thomas out of the room?
No. You kicked Gordon out of the room, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Well, here, let me leave.
No.
don't
You
worry
don't have
about
to leave. It doesn't matter. If you leave, somebody else will just hop in.
Yeah. It's useless. Don't worry about it.
All right.
It's
Well,
like
hey,
stopping a
everybody.
river
How's
with
your
your
Sunday
hand.
going?
Let's go to Kelly. Kelly, do you have something you'd like to share with us?
Sure, why not?
Do you have something you'd like to share with us?
Sure, why not? Oh, I heard me twice. Let's see if I can figure this thing out. Share screen.
Yeah, if you guys come in, please try to mute yourselves if you're not in the middle of talking, just in case there's any background noise that would help.
Okay, now it says I'm sharing my screen. Oh, there we go. That's just a recent shot I took with my handy dandy new lens, which is all right. I just kind of had a little more fun with it and did this instead.
What lens is that, Kelly? What's your new lens?
That's the 100mm macro, the Canon.
Is that the second one, the newest one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice lens. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful. That was my birthday present. So that's, my husband's attempt at keeping me from figuring out I'm getting older, distract me with shiny things, and it's working. So that was the one that I took, and I just cropped it a little bit smaller, and I processed it a little bit. But now, figuring out how to share that one with you is, here we go.
So when you got into photography, did you go right into macro?
No, I just used whatever we had. My husband, he likes to take pictures, so we already had a 50D around, and which I quickly snatched up, and so he had to replace it with something else. But he has been trying for years to get me to use it to take pictures of the kids, and I had resisted heartily, and sticking with my little handy dandy point and shoot one that I could stick in my pocketbook, and it was easy, and I used to just constantly say his camera was just too much camera for me, too many dials. And then when I started realizing all the photographs I really loved seeing, I wasn't really going to get that with my, point and click. And then my husband would, nice and gently in the background say, so, you want to learn how to use this one now? And finally, one day I got desperate enough. I said, fine, show me. So I'm still learning. But the macro seems to be what I really, really am digging lately. Very much
Those are very beautiful, Kelly. Those are great.
Yeah, they
Thank
look
you,
nice.
Thomas. I had a little bit of support from some guy and some girl. I don't know who they are.
I don't do any macro photography.
Lotus and Thomas.
I heard one thing that sometimes people do is they take around a little spray bottle filled with sugar water, because the sugar water makes things like super beat up.
I didn't know that. I heard that. I was like, oh, somebody mentioned carrying around like a little syringe or a dropper in one of the threads. I was like, oh my God. And I've been sitting around waiting for rain,
Yeah.
like a complete moron. It's raining. I get to go outside. And, but yeah, I can't even believe it didn't occur to me. But yeah.
Have any of you guys ever done any poor man macros where you switch your 50 around off camera and shoot with it?
You mean like taking it out of the adapter, or like just holding it up against the camera body?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, you can get some good stuff there. It's almost kind of lens baby-ish. If you take your Lotus, you've done some, right?
And Lotus will find one to share with us.
In just a bit.
Hey, while she's doing that, Scott Jarvie, do you want to show us some of your recent stuff, 2 or 3 photos that you think are interesting, and talk us through them?
Yeah, sure. I am actually, while I'm participating, working on some pictures right now, of course. And they're actually a pretty fun set. So let me hit the share button and hope I don't drop.
Well, I'm already in here, so I'm not going to steal your spot.
All right, am I up? Yep, I'm up. So I had the chance to go on stage for a concert during a symphony. I'm the photographer for the Utah Symphony. So I was able to go on stage during a live performance, which is kind of, everyone was very surprised that the conductor allowed it. So here, let me move. Yeah, so when he allowed it, that was pretty cool. I got to go on stage, be really, really quiet, wear all black. And beforehand, I took a couple of pictures, obviously, of some of these instruments, which I found out that some of these instruments are worth the same as some houses. So, but it was pretty cool to be able to get in there and take pictures of the symphony. And their theme is energy in music, so they wanted him doing his thing. And they had talked about doing a dress rehearsal, but the symphony members really don't like having to dress up in their suits and tails and all that stuff on other occasions. So he said, well, we'll just have him come during a real performance. So, and I have yet to edit them yet, so we'll get around to that.
That's cool. So you just did this for fun? You didn't do it for them as a client or anything?
Yeah, they're one of my clients. I do all their stuff for their marketing.
Jarvie, how many pictures did you take of the performance, all in?
700.
Nice.
And I had to kind of time them for when it was really loud, because you can't shoot when it's quiet because they could hear the shutter. I actually had to use my my backup camera because it's much quieter, the D7000, and I put it on quiet mode unless it was during the loud parts, because I wanted a faster mode than I wasn't on quiet. But not that many of them really worked out. And where I moved to on during the change of pieces, it didn't work out as well as in rehearsal because they weren't positioned like I had hoped that they were. So here I had their bows coming where in rehearsal it wasn't that case. So it's just a little disappointing.
Hey, Scott. There's a friend of mine who does on-site photography for film production, and here in Austin, and he rents enclosure for his camera that's a soundproofed enclosure. It's kind of like the underwater housing, but it's soundproofed for photography, so he can shoot while they're actually filming. So I don't know if there's a place where you are that rents equipment like that, but that could be something that you could look into, so that way you don't have to minimize when you shoot.
Yeah. I would say the other thing is the audience probably didn't like to see me moving around too much, so I kept it very concentrated on when I moved.
It's really, really amazing stuff.
You were stealth like a tiger.
Yeah,
like a ninja.
I because of those bows being in the wrong place, I made a big decision, and I moved my chair during a break of one piece, kind of when we hadn't planned it. But I was like, look, I'm going to keep on getting these violins in my picture. So I moved the chair, and probably the whole audience was watching me.
Did it make like a loud squeak noise?
And I was really, really careful, and then right when I put it down, it made a noise. Yeah. So I had thousands of people hearing my noise making. So.
Hey, Lotus pulled up her her poor man's macro. Is that what you called it, Thomas?
Yeah, that's what I call it, poor man's macro.
Yeah. Can you do that with any lens, or just
I think you can do it with some of the other ones, but I've only ever done it with my 50, so I don't know.
Okay.
So
Here, talk us through this one, Lotus.
This was just a flower in a vase in my house. I don't know what kind of flower it is. I don't know what it's called, but I did that. I took a 50mm 1.8 and turned it around and just got up to it and kind of moved back and forth until I liked what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really great because a lot of what people do, one of the first lenses they get, or if people ask me for advice on what's the first lens to get, oftentimes I'll say a 50. And even before you can afford a macro or a second lens or something, it's great that you could still use it that way.
So I have a question. How concerned should I be about actually having the lens detached from my camera as far as particles of anything entering the camera itself and causing issues? Anyone feel free to answer this.
You know, I have given Canon so much grief over the dust in my sensor, and then people always give me a hard time because I don't put lens backs on my lens, and I take my lenses off, and I've used my gear. So, I don't know. I'm not too concerned. I mean, worst case scenario, you get dust or something in there, you can clone it out in Lightroom, right?
No, I actually just lick my finger and then reach in there and just swab it out.
I live with the lens cap Nazi in this house. I mean, God forbid I have the lens cap off my lens for longer than 5 seconds. He's following behind me with it. You know, you need to put this on. You know, like, oh my God, there's a filter and we got this. We got the little brush. Chill out. But he totally freaks out. So I was just curious. You know, he would absolutely have a stroke if I actually detached the lens and started trying to take shots with it.
I'm like Thomas. I don't put lens caps and everything on, but as a portrait shooter, I shoot everything pretty wide open, so dust never really affects me until I have those moments when I want to shoot really long exposures and high f-stops. So
yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
I'm always scared to death to take my lens off, but whenever I do it in the field, I always feel like it's one of these, you know, emergency situation organ transplants. And I just do it as quickly as possible. I hate getting dust in there. I'm mortified. Okay. I can't imagine what it would be like to turn a lens and just have it open and exposed. I just feel like you're just sucking in dust.
So then I have one other question. I don't mean to hog up the time, but so when you change your lenses, how do you position your camera when you're doing it? Like, do you point it down? Do you just kind of leave it out there? What do you do?
I point it directly at the sun.
Yeah, well, I usually have it on a tripod.
Thanks.
And I aim it down. And then I have one lens in my hand, and the other one I kind of loosen, right? And I get it all ready, right? I line up my dots, and I line it out like a small military campaign. And then I just twist it out and pop the other one in as fast as I can, and then twist it in. And that's how I do it. I try not to change lenses too much, though.
Oh, okay. So, okay. I'll let somebody else ask questions.
You know, sometimes if you get too much dust in there, you can get it off if you just put a bunch of Vaseline on your finger and rub it in there. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Right. See, here's the deal. Don't tell that to a noob. You know, like they'll be like, they told me to do this. He'll be like,
I'm joking.
I heard that Scott Jarvie saran wraps his.
I do for the Festival of Colors. I gaffer tape it up, surround. But I'm a little, yeah, like I said, more like Tom. I don't worry about it. So I used to quite a lot, but then I noticed it didn't affect my pictures, so I stopped caring.
I think I'm just going to have a disclaimer T-shirt when I come into a Hangout that says anything that comes out of this person's mouth is not to be held liable against them, because I'm totally sarcastic shooter.
Hey, Dustin, do you have any pictures you want to share?
I was actually pulling up some stuff, yeah. Let's see. Dear God, please don't let this crash and kick me out like other people. But, okay. Yeah, exactly. I have two that I was going for here. Let's see, where... Sorry, guys. Where is it?
No problem.
No, I'm just pulling it up here. So I just have two, and I didn't have anything else that... let's see. So the first one is out in this month's... there we go. It's a bridal edition for Austin Monthly. I do weddings and portraits, so I'm not much of a commercial or macro shooter, and any commercial stuff I do is strictly just for magazines. But this one's actually kind of special to me. This was one of my favorite rides. This was shot at El Arbol restaurant here in Austin, which actually just closed down last week. But the interior designer is Joel Mazursky. He's the guy that designed the Real World Austin MTV apartment condo, and he also did the Belmont and a bunch of other places. And actually, the Belmont's closing down too, I heard. So I don't know what's going on, if there's like a Joel Mazursky curse or something. But I really liked the the materials inside there that they used, the decor and everything, and I actually Rick Salmon asked me if I wanted to be one of his guest post people on his blog, and I was going to do something about composition because I'm a big stickler for composition. And when I showed this one to him, he thought I was joking because of the picture of the cow behind the bride. Yeah, and actually, I told him, I was like, believe it or not, I actually shot it this way, and this was actually the picture that she ordered as her bridal portrait, as a 24 by 36 canvas. And she's a Houston bride, and but she got married in Austin, and she when she was a kid, she used to raise. She was in the FFA, I guess. For people that aren't familiar with that, it's basically you raise livestock. It's a Texas thing, and for competition stuff. And so
Future Farmers of America.
Right.
Yes.
It's Oregon thing too.
Oh, okay. But she had a cow named Daisy that was her favorite calf on her grandfather's farm, and so she used to spend all her weekends out there raising this calf named Daisy. And so this was kind of, she saw the picture in the restaurant and said, hey, I would like to incorporate this into the shot if that's okay. It's kind of corny, but it would mean a lot to me. And I said, yeah, of course. So we did. So I positioned her head so that it looked like Daisy was kissing her on the back of the head, because Daisy used to nuzzle her a lot when she would go out onto the farm, when she would spend time with her. So she ended up actually picking this one as her bridal portrait. So it meant a lot to her, and it meant a lot to me. So, and she was a big stickler for shoes, so I had to show off the shoes. And then the other one, yeah, exactly. Let me see. I'm going to just switch over to one other one. This one is also one of my favorites. This was taken for a magazine in Austin called Edible Austin Magazine, and basically anytime they have anything to do with alcohol, they send me to go shoot it. And so I had just gotten up to Waco to go shoot Balcones Distillery, which makes whiskey here in Texas. And it was really neat because I had just gotten done watching this marathon on the History Channel about the bootlegging days back in the 20s. And Balcones their distillery is in a warehouse that's underneath a bridge by a river next to some train tracks. So I was thinking, oh, this is perfect. So we spent the entire day shooting inside and everything else, and I got pictures of these gorgeous copper stills that Chip had actually made himself. But it had been raining outside all day while we were inside shooting. And then as I was leaving, I just saw how everything lined up in this one shot, and I ran inside. I said, hey, Chip, can we bring one of your casks outside and just get a couple shots before I leave outside just to change it up? He's like, yeah, sure. So we pulled off this shot right beforehand, and it's a little blurred in the background, but the railroad crossing is in the back, right in the center there. And I just like the way that the rainwater had kind of seeped in underneath the bridge there to kind of create some contours and stuff. But so this was my other one. So
I like that.
Thank you. I do more people stuff than just objects and stuff, but I don't know. I grew up reading comic books, so I try to tell a whole story with one shot.
Cool. Okay. Hey, Thomas, I have a question for you about Google Plus and the future and everything. So get your brain ready around that. I'm going to share a couple new ones of mine. Talk through them. Let me go to my iPhoto. So, by the way, I keep all of my final photos in iPhoto. I use Lightroom for organizing all my photos, but I use iPhoto for the final version because iPhoto is light and fast, and it hooks up with my iPad, and it only really contains my portfolio images. So it's I noticed that Lightroom kind of gets bogged down if you're just trying to find your best stuff. So,
Trey, do you use Apple TV with it too?
Yes, I do. Except I just switched to the new Apple TV, and I noticed it only has HDMI, and I don't have that right connector for my TV. So now I need to upgrade my actual TV. in addition to my Apple TV. So it's a daisy chain of cluster.
Yeah.
So I got to figure that out. So I just processed a bunch of Iceland photos. I process stuff out of order, I think like Thomas does, and probably a lot of people do. This is up on top of a little glacier, and this was sort of one of my, I guess, typical HDRs or whatever, and it was 9 exposures from -4 to +4. And one of the problems you have to watch out for sometimes with HDR and snow is that, HDR can make everything look dirty, and faces and snow and things just that aren't dirty. So that took a lot of cleanup, and typically Photomatics makes sort of a mess out of everything. So it takes a lot of cleanup after the fact. So this is one of those that required a lot of cleanup.
Where do you do that cleanup? Troy?
I do it in Photoshop.
Photoshop afterwards, yeah.
It's too complex to do in Lightroom because I really need layers. And I know Lightroom has these layer plugins now and everything, but to me, I mean, why not just use Photoshop?
Sure.
This is another shot. This comes from a single RAW. This is in Isafjordur in Iceland. Just a beautiful, colorful harbor, and it was it went against my rule of shooting in the middle of the day, but the colors just seemed so nice, and the water was not perfectly calm, but ripply enough so that it was interesting. So that's that one, and then here's the last one from Burning Man. I'm still processing these photos because I took so many. And I'd love to see what Thomas or a lot of y'all could do out there, because it's such a target-rich environment. Everybody's in costume. Everybody looks interesting. Almost everybody's an exhibitionist. So it's just, it's quite a turkey shoot there. It's fantastic. So
Trey, are you going to go again next year?
Yeah, I think I will go again next year.
Yeah, I'm going next year. I've never been, but I'm going for sure next year. I think Lotus is going too.
Yeah, I'm going to.
We should do a special camp
sure.
for photographers, so that we're not spread out all over. We could just kind of hang out.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, we need a type A person to organize that, not me.
I was going to say, I don't think that would be a photographer, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the shots you got at Burning Man, Trey. I mean, those are some of the best I've ever seen from there, and it's, I think you're right. I mean, it's such a target-rich environment, and they're fantastic. I love that one that you did inside that fight dome.
Oh yeah, the Thunderdome.
Do you have that one handy? Can you show us one more?
Yeah, I can pull that up. While I pull this up, I'll kind of give this advice to people that are interested in shooting, that are interested in doing people photos, but they're a little bit shy. And I understand how people are shy. Let me go ahead and share this screen here. But I think Burning Man is a great place to get over it, because everybody's so open and they don't care, and they like having their picture taken and this sort of thing. So let me make this thing.
Yeah, look at that action, man. That looks great.
Yes. Oops. Disappeared here. Let me reshare this. Oh, no. I took iPhoto full screen and it made that go away. Yeah. So one of the many pieces they have there in sculptures is the Thunderdome, and almost every night they have these huge fights where they have thousands of people kind of all around the outside, and then hundreds of people close in, and people climb and go up inside around, just like the movie. And then inside they have all these different kinds of fights, and it's really pretty violent. And then they have girls in leather and high heels that are kind of prancing around, and they have announcers that are being really histrionic and crazy, and it's man, it is wild in there, really wild.
Yeah, I love that shot. I think that might have been my favorite that you took there.
I mean, the way you just kind of poked it through the grid makes it look like we're actually there with the crowd, with everything on the periphery. I love that.
Well, thanks. It was a very difficult shot. I got a little bit injured taking it, because people would actually climb up me to try to get up the structure, and they would step on the legs of my tripod like it was the. It was really intense.
What lens did you shoot that with, Trey?
Should take a taser next time.
that's 14 to 24 lens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had the tripod kind of on its lowest setting, kind of splayed out on the ground. And
This doesn't have to do with photography, but are you talking like UFC style fighting, like, you know, hardcore bloodletting type stuff, or?
no, it wasn't that serious. I mean, people weren't.
You seem I'm disappointed.
Like
oh, wow.
but there was a lot of blood spilled and stuff. But it got kind of silly sometimes too, because they would put two huge people in mascot uniforms in it there, like a giant fox fighting a giant cat, and they would just wail on each other. It was the most ridiculous but awesome thing you've ever seen. It was neat. Hey, Thomas, while you're here and while you're Mr. Google Plus, tell me what you think about Google in the past few weeks since it's opened up to the public, and
Jeez,
what's your sort of meta-analysis of everything?
Well, I just think it's been absolutely awesome. I think a month ago people were saying, Google Plus had a lot of fans and a lot of people were saying this is the greatest thing. But you did see some of these critics out there, and they would say, "Oh well, Google Plus is a ghost town," and like this, and then everybody would yell at them. Obviously, you're not participating, and this and that and the other. But this last month, I mean, they just turned it on massively. And I know, Trey, you and I, both of our follower count went way up. I think I was like at 40,000 followers or something, and I'm like at 180 now at the end of the month, and it's just took off. I think what it shows is the power of Google to promote this thing. I mean, the first big thing they did was when they opened it up to the public, they put it on the google.com homepage, that big blue arrow, and signups just went through the roof. I think Google has so many resources, whether it's Gmail or the homepage or, Blogger or all these other properties that they have to promote this thing. And then I thought sharing circles was a stroke of genius too, because now all of a sudden, I did a blog post about that, but all of a sudden everybody's sharing these circles and everybody's adding more people and everybody feels good. And, you're able to show a bunch of photographers to other people, and that has its own problems too. We talked a little bit about that the other night, but, I think I think they've got a game plan, and I think it's so early. I think it's the first at bat in the first inning of a long game, and they're just knocking the cover off the ball. And I think it's been exciting for me. I'm sure it has for everyone in this room. I mean, just watching this all happen and watching all the excitement and the engagement, and especially around photography. So many great photographers every day joining the site. So
yeah, let me ask Lotus, since she's here, and she has 67,000 followers. So what's it been like for you? Give us your experience.
It's mind blowing. I've never had this much attention, to my work at all. I mean, if you look at my Flickr, I have a couple hundred followers or whatever, contacts there. So it's been really fun. And then in the very beginning, talking to everybody, now it's starting to get really difficult, I think, to keep up with communicating with everyone that's commenting and stuff. I'm trying, but it's a trip. It's a ride. It's a lot of fun.
So what did you do? Because I think there's so many people that would love to have 67,000 followers. What did you do, or what advice can you give to people that want to get there?
I think consistently sharing, picking your best work, and really engaging. I think those are the biggest things.
What is it been
Well,
like?
if you also use sexy dialogue like Lotus does, she always puts out all that really
A lot of sexual innuendo and drink a lot.
adult-oriented commentary with her macro photography.
Hey now.
But in now I got to stand up here for a second. All of that aside, if you don't have the goods to back it up, it's meaningless. You're not going to continue to have people consistently come back and the new audience just keep flowing in with just innuendo and crappy shots. It's not going to happen. So she kills, and that's why people.
Kelli.
Her innuendo is just a perk.
It's her flair.
Yes.
All right, you girls can stop your little Estro fest here. Hey, well, Kelly, what's it been like for you? Are you used to having a lot of followers, or people comment on your
Oh,
stuff?
yeah, sure, all the time. You know, people just knock down my door and say, Kelly.
Just running in the room while you're on, doing.
Yeah, you know, I'm just so used to it. No, I mean, geez, I just started taking pictures, for goodness sakes. I mean, every time I post something and people are like, yeah, that's so good. I'm like, really? Really? Cool. Yeah, I knew that. It's good. I don't know. I mean, it's amazing. But what I really came here for, and why I come back every day and for a disgusting number of hours. And when I say disgusting number of hours, when the kids are pulling on your leg saying, can you feed us? That's what I mean, They start, fighting over cereal I've tossed on the floor. That's when you probably are spending a little too much time here. But I spend it because I love to see the images that are posted, not because not because I love that they love what I put up there, but I come because I love to see what you guys do. I love that every single person the question of has just wholeheartedly come, and given me all their advice. They're not like hoarding it, like it's God forbid they give me the information now we're all going to be reproducing, what they're doing, which has happened on other sites. I've found a very closed group and a group that's very unwilling to it's just an entire group of mentors is what I've got, and it's so darn awesome. It just kills me.
So Leanne just posted this photo up here in the thing. Leanne, is that a picture of Kelly in there? Is that?
Yeah, that is. That was our second Google Plus photo walk in New York City, and so I figured I'd throw that up there just so you guys can see. Kelly and I have met. I don't know. I've never really met anyone. I've met a few people from Flickr, but I'm going to thank Thomas. When he had his photo walk, he shouted out to me, said, "Hey, Leanne, do New York City," and I was like, "All right." This is our second photo walk. Our third one is coming up, but I met Kelly, and she's awesome.
Nice. She looks very small between those two giant men.
Yeah, they were extraordinarily tall too.
Well, they were both from Germany, huh? These are of northern stock. These guys.
Yeah.
Because every time we have a photo walk, we get someone coming from out of town. The first time we got a guy, Christoph, who's a German living in Rome, and this time we got Thomas Schaller, who's in the front there. Who, right, I met all these people on Google Plus, and now we have Dave Powell from Shoot Tokyo who's going to be at our next one on October 16th. So
that's great. Aren't these photo walks great that are happening all over the United States?
They're awesome. They're awesome, and it's just, yesterday I went on Scott Kelby's Worldwide Photo Walk, and 7 of the Google Plus photo walk people were in it. We just kind of invaded it. And I find myself doing, I am a solo shooter. I tend to kind of go out and shoot the streets. I love street photography. But whenever I go on these photo walks, I feel kind of a necessity to kind of really document the photographers. It's a lot of fun. The photo walks are so, Google Plus, I just hit 50,000 today, and it's awesome. But, I get an awesome amount of spam as well, and that's something I haven't really figured out how to quite deal with. It is kind of nice that you can flag something and it disappears. But
so, Leanne, when is your next New York photo walk?
October 16th.
16th, okay. And we're going to do one in San Francisco on the 21st of October for Invisible Circus's birthday, for Michelle's birthday. And then we're going to do one on October 26th down in San Jose. So we got 2 coming up in October in the Bay Area, too.
Wow. And, it's fun. And I think that one of the things that's really good is I've seen Thomas do it, and also Vincent Moe and Brian Rose, 2 great Google people who freely share that and spread it in the public. I'm actually kind of worried we're going to have so many people and we maybe made a mistake. We're going to go to Chinatown, and Chinatown are really small, and I can just see it. We're going to have like 50 photographers going down these little streets, and all these poor Chinese people going, what's going on here, you know?
It'll still be easier than navigating through it with kids. That's all I have to say.
Are there any other photo walks coming up? Is there anything in Austin coming up, or anything anyplace else anybody knows of?
I don't know of anything in Austin. Do you?
No, actually, Anna's going to be in town on Thursday. So, like, tomorrow I'm going to post whoever wants to come, you know, whoever's in Austin wants to come walk.
Who's Anna?
We don't know how to say her last name. Anna Nguyen? Is that how you say it?
Wynn? I think it's Wynn.
When, isn't it?
Yeah,
Anna
I think
Wynn?
it's Wynn. Yeah.
She's on G+, and she's really awesome.
Okay.
And she's going to be in town. So we're going to do that
Yeah.
Thursday.
Cool. Very cool. Hey, Leanne, you should, and everybody else should, put a link to your portfolio or your blog in the main thread. Don't put it in the chat here because only 9 people will see it. But if you put it out there, then tens of thousands of people will see it, so people can see all your work and that sort of thing.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. As if there is really, truly only one place. It's all over the place.
Hey, Leanne, I love your stream, and I was struck by that one photo you have of the skateboard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! There's something wrong. For me, I'm so funny. The way that I look at my photos, the photos I really like, I get few comments on. Although, ironically, the people's photography that I really like those photos. And then I'll post some other photos, and people will be jumping up and down. Yeah, okay. It's funny. I went out with this guy, Simon Gelfand, who I met from Google+. He was shooting these guys, and for me, I was going for the shadow.
Yeah, that's great.
He's got some really awesome shots of skateboarders. I've never shot skateboarders before, and technically, I think I might have. I don't know which camera I shot that with. It might have been my little Leica point and shoot, because I have a Nikon D300, and I almost always shoot with my 50 lens, and I bring my wide angle, and I almost never change my lens, and I bring my zoom, which I really never use, and I don't know why I carry it. And then I'll just say, oh, darn, I can't get this shot with a 50, and so then I'll just grab out my little Leica point and shoot. Although it could have been the Nikon, I'm not sure. I love shadows. I just shadows to me are awesome.
Well, I'm sharing it right now. If anyone wants to take a look at it, I'm sharing
I can see.
I see it. Yeah.
It's well, however you did it, it came out great, and I'm sure you got a bunch of shots, but I always think it's interesting because I can sort of see your thought process, or see a typical photographer's thought process about choosing that one. Why is that one better than other ones? And it's weird, but it just works.
Hey, Trey.
Yeah.
Trey, what's this I hear about? You have a top secret new iPad application coming out.
I do have one, and it features you a little bit, Thomas. But actually, I don't mind plugging it because it is free and there's no advertising. Otherwise, I'd feel kind of funny plugging it. But it'll be out probably in the next few weeks, and it's something that everybody can get involved with. I think it's a wonderful layer on top of the world in which we all live, and I built it primarily for myself because it's something that's really lacking. And then when I was out at Thomas's house, I showed him an early alpha version, and I think he was kind of taken with it. I don't want to, speak for you, Thomas, but anyway, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I thought it was great, and I love the idea of using it collaboratively with other photographers and having different people be able to contribute to it. I think it's a great tool for the traveling photographer to go to a new city and say, okay, well, here are 50 great spots you want to take pictures at, or here's all these interesting places to photograph.
Yeah, so it's called Stuck on Earth, and it's great. And this little thing that Thomas just leaked about it is only one of many aspects to it. But we'll see soon. We'll see very soon. We have a couple other people that popped in here. We have Simon. Hello, Simon. Where are you from?
Hi, I'm in Israel.
Okay. How is life in Israel?
Good. It's great here.
Good.
You should come and take some photos here.
I've heard it's amazing for photography. It's probably one of the top 5 places that I always hear, like, Trey, you got to go to Israel. It's amazing for photography.
It's not very big, so you can see probably the whole of it in like a day, or 2 days. But yeah, we've got a little bit of everything here: desert, sea, mountains, everything.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining. And also, who popped in is Philip Rawson. Philip, where are you?
I'm in Columbia, Missouri.
Okay. What do you do there in real life?
Real life? Well, actually, I'm just doing photography full time now, so it's interesting.
Okay. When you say full time, you mean you go out and get clients, and it pays for the food on your table and this sort of stuff? Over. Google Plus calling over.
I think you froze up.
Yeah, I think you froze up a little bit. Sorry to hear that. Oh, Leanne, looks like you're sharing another black and white photo. Leanne, tell us about this photo you're sharing.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. You know, New York is a gas because, I mean, I can't imagine. I do some urban landscapes, but that guy was just so crazy. He barely had any clothes on. I was walking across town, and I just grabbed my camera so fast when I saw him running down the middle of 7th Avenue. And I don't know, you know, I got it. You know, so often you have to move quickly. You hope you get the shot, and then you look at it and you go, oh, darn, I didn't get it. But this time it was just like with his ribs showing, and he's just in that stance. And I don't know. Yeah, I just loved that shot when I got it.
So I'm sharing another one of your shots here, Leanne. I want to ask Thomas something here about you. We'll talk about you like you're not here for a minute.
Okay.
So,
I love it.
Thomas, what is it about people like Leanne, because there's not many of them, that are just able to pluck out these moments that are just so different? I mean, I think any photographer would be proud to have any one of these in their portfolio, and hers is just jam-packed with them. So what is it about a Leanne type person that makes her like this?
Well, it's a talent. I mean, it's an eye, I think. It's a way of seeing through the camera and capturing a moment in time. You know, Cartier's Bresson's decisive moment, right? You know, I think it's, you know, she captures a lot of those. She gets it just right. And, you know, I think there's a lot of traditional ways that, or types of photographs you can take. Like this photograph here, you know, where you have an interesting individual in the foreground and then interesting, you know, something on a wall in the background. I mean, there's many different versions of this shot, but it's when you get this right, it's great. And I think she gets a lot of them right. A lot of great New York street photography. And it's just an eye. I think it's just a way of seeing the world and being aware. I mean, more than as much of an eye, it's being aware. You know, you're constantly on the hunt for that shot. And Leanne does a great job and gets a lot of them.
Thank you, guys. I mean, ooh, Trey, that's one of my favorite shots right there.
Yeah, it's lovely.
That's important.
So now that you heard us talk about you in the third person, why don't you tell us, like, do you think something different goes through your brain that maybe doesn't go through other photographers' brains? Or are you able to be objective about it? Or, you know, you can forget about being humble for a minute. Just tell us.
Yeah, I have no objectivity. I started in photography when I was quite young. It was my father's way of communicating with me. He gave me a camera when I was 12. And I think that I have I don't really know how to explain it. I say that I'm an intuitive photographer. I learn as much as I need to know about how to use a camera technically, but I don't talk shop. I don't know anything about the cameras. I don't know about this. I don't know about that. I walk down the street and I see things in frames. I see something, it moves me, I shoot it. I mean, well, I don't know how to even tell you, you know, it's just, I kind of feel like I have a device implanted in my head that makes me see things in frames. And I mean, I guess, you know, in that respect, this is what my gift was in the world, is to see that. But I am humbled. I am so humbled because I just do it because I'm passionate about it. I've just always loved it. I don't make a living off of it. People in Google Plus all think that I'm a professional and that I'm making a living off of it. I have a day job, you know, and this is what, you know, this is, people do sports, people do whatever they do. I go out, I wander around the streets till my feet ache and I lose the sun and I just shoot. I wish I could really explain it, you know?
Yeah, well, I understand it's hard to explain. I really do. What do you use? What software do you use? Do you use Silver FX Pro?
Sometimes I've gotten so good at using Lightroom, I kind of just move the dials around and look at it and feel it and look at the histogram, and sometimes I'll pop it into Silver FX. I really quite like Silver FX. But, you know, it's 50-50. I'll really only maybe half of the time at the most that I use Silver FX anymore. I'm really not very good at color. I don't like color. I'm not fond of it. I don't like true colors. If I do anything color, I tend to desaturate or totally over the top oversaturate it. But I also find that even the Nik software in color, nothing about it thrills me. So black and white is kind of my default process, and mostly just about absolutely all the time I just do it by, I guess I have a process that I just, you know, it's the same thing that I always kind of do. And people often tell me, they ask me, do I shoot in film? They always think that I get a film look. And that, to me, is when I know I've done it right, because that's what I do like. I don't like a crispy, glossy kind of digital look to it, whatever that is.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I appreciate that a lot. I think that I really do think people see the world differently, and that not just in sort of this old chestnut kind of way. I really think that people's brains work differently, and I think, like, your brain compared to my brain, I think you look at the world, and first your brain processes line, shape, and contrast, and then your brain starts to recognize color, light, and saturation. You see it all, but you process it in a different order. I think mine is flipped. I first see color, light, and saturation, and then I see line, shape, and contrast.
Well, I guess what I tell people, you know, they ask me how I got into street photography. I never saw any street photography in my life. I had this purist idea that I wanted to do architectural photography, and I mean purist, like architectural digest. You know, it had to be like pristine, and, you know, all the angles had to be perfect. And I don't know what I was thinking, but it was just a whole thing that I got on. And I would get really upset because people would walk into my photo, and it was just like, darn, you know, like, what's going on here? Can't you guys see? Artists at work, back off, you know? And one day I just said, screw it. And I started doing it with people going into it. And the next thing I know it, I started shooting. Really, I look for a background that I really like. Maybe there's a light, there's shadows, there's, you know, street art, whatever it is. And then I'll wait for the person to come into the shot. Sometimes I'll use a monopod and just sit there and wait and shoot while it's happening, because all of that has to be working together for me. So I'm not like a, you know, Bruce Gilden, you know, there you go, right in your face, buddy, you know? Yeah, it's kind of hard, you know. I don't really think about my process. It's just, it's intuitive, it's automatic, and it's just.
You know, one thing that I would add about Leanne's work too, and I don't think experience is always everything. but she mentioned that she's been shooting for a long time, ever since she was a kid. And, you know, not to keep dropping Cartier-Bresson's name, but, you know, he's got a quote that says your first 10,000 photographs are your worst. You know, and the idea that with time and with experience can come, you know, a way of seeing the world. And Leanne, your story about, you know, this transition from pure architectural photography to photography with people and architecture and different things, I think oftentimes it's just a matter of time and finding our voice and just, you know, continuing over time to develop that. And you've got a very mature photographic voice at this point, I think. And I think a lot of it's probably has been all the time that you've put into it over the years too.
Yeah, well, Malcolm Gladwell says in a career, it takes 10,000 hours of work to call yourself a subject matter expert. So I guess there is something special about 10,000. I don't know. You know, I mean, I'm absolutely flattered. I just love doing it. When people like my work, that just is kind of icing on the cake. It's fun, you know? And being on Google Plus has been an awesome experience because, Thomas, I followed you on Google Buzz, might have been the first place, and it was just so weird. And Kelly, well, I just met her for the first time just at a photo walk. I would have never imagined being able to even have not just a bunch of people going, wow, cool photo. That's great, that's fine. But to have a community of photographers who are all very interested in sharing and being involved and sometimes getting together at meetups, to me, that's even more valuable, you know? Because
isn't that great? Google Plus has done such a good job at developing this photographic community. I mean, better than anybody. I mean, I got involved with Flickr very early on, way before Yahoo, back in 2004. And there was a little bit of that at the beginning at Flickr, it felt like. There was a little bit of a community, but then that kind of, after Yahoo bought them, that kind of really, I felt, died off. But it's like that times 10 at Google Plus right now. I mean, the whole community, everybody reaching out and hanging out, and these, you know, how many people, there were like 200 people at Stanford, Trey, when we were down there. I mean, it's just...
That's crazy.
And Google, the thing is, Google's involvement too. There's all these Googlers that are, you know, showing up, handing out swag, and you know, the team.
In New York, we don't have. I mean, Google has an office. They gave us like they gave us this sticker, and that was cool. And you know, we've gotten on every Google walk, we've gotten 2 or 3, maybe 4 Google employees who come, and they're totally into it. And so that's been kind of cool. But, you know, they started it, and we don't need them to finish it. I mean, I think that there's bigger things that we can do as a community.
But you know what? They're also a huge part of that community. Like, I go out and shoot with Chris Chabot, or, you know, he loves shooting as much as I do.
Yeah, and Titus Winters is one of our guys who comes out to most of them now, too, you know?
Yeah.
So it is quite fun, and you know, I hope I can make it out to San Francisco. I love San Francisco, and go on one of the photo walks with you guys.
Come on out.
But where are you, Trey? You're all over the map.
Yeah, I'm all over the map. I'm in Austin right now, but I like to. I might come out to San Francisco next month. I have a little thing I might come do out there, so that could be fun.
Why do you get to travel so much? What's with that?
Oh, well, it's just my unplanned life. It looks like a master plan from the outside, but the blog just got really popular, and it's really profitable, so I can, you know, afford to fly around or whatever. And so that's just kind of become my life. I just go out and find beautiful, awesome things to feed the internet, and it's sort of this thing that's snowballed, and I like traveling, and I like that little spidey sense when you feel like everything's alive and different, and you know, you walk into a little market in New York and you notice the peach has a little bit more red in it. You're like, oh my gosh, look at that peach, it's amazing. And, you know, you don't even see that when you're in your own town for whatever reason. So I just need hyper stimulation all the time, and I like that feeling.
Well, let me throw a question out there. I'm only kind of formulating this in my mind, so you'll forgive me if it's not totally complete. But, Google Plus is kind of like, it's like Twitter with images, and it's streaming so fast, and there's so much eye candy. And, even between the mediocre stuff and the really great stuff and whatever. But I wonder what the future of photography is when we have the proliferation of, like, so many images on a regular basis. I mean, what is this going to do to the art of photography? And everybody's got a digital camera too. And I just would love to hear what people's thoughts are on if photography will ever, and it never really has in its entire history, really be considered an art and really being a profession where there are photographers who can really make a living off of it or be recognized.
Hey, Thomas, why don't you handle
yeah,
that
I mean,
one?
I think that's, you touched on a lot of points, Leanne. Is photography art? Absolutely. It's a creative act. It's you are creating something from the camera to Lightroom to the final image that you create and you share. I think there's been a massive democratization of art, and I think that is exciting and beautiful. A lot of people say, well, yeah, now there's too much crap out there now. But I just think it is wonderful that we no longer have these gatekeepers. You used to have to go, well, unless I can get shown in this museum or in this gallery, and there were just a handful of people that could really have their work shown. And now, really anybody can put up something on the internet. Throw it up on Google+, and if it's good, and if you're good, you'll end up getting attention. I believe. And so I think that's great. I think there's going to be a lot more artists, a lot more things to see. It's going to make it, a lot harder to, I think, become a photographer, a fine art photographer for a living, because there's way more art out there now for the masses to consume. But I think it can definitely be done. Trey's making a living at this. He's doing a great job at it. I think there are some very talented people, not just talented, but smart from a business perspective. Trey's used social media and used his blog and used lots of other ways to get his work out there. And even without being in a traditional, New York gallery or this or that, I think it's exciting to me that there's ways to bypass that traditional art world. It's still art. It's just distributed in a different way. And I think there's other opportunities to make a living in photography too. I mean, Jarvie makes a living as a wedding photographer. I think there are specialty areas and niche areas, and I think people can. I hear all these people, oftentimes these naysayers that are kind of like, oh no, digital photography is killing the photographers, and a lot of times though you got to go forward with the future. This is the future. This is the direction, and you can either sit there and bemoan it and say, well, geez, wasn't it great when only us could afford our film cameras, and it was such a small little club, and this and that, but it's a new world, and as they say, I for one welcome our new overlords.
And I guess I want to ask another question of you, Thomas. Then, what kind of vitamins do you take?
Me? Well, mostly this.
Okay, because I want to know how you manage to do everything that you do. I mean, that's great. You process how many images a week?
Yeah, I try to process at least 350 images a week. I'm trying to publish 1 million images before I die. I don't know. I'm kind of like intellectually hyperactive. I'm constantly thinking about things, and I don't sleep as much as I probably should. But it's just like I have to constantly be engaged. I've constantly got the on switch turned on.
You and Trey,
I have a 5-year-old like that.
Yeah, right.
You're a year and a half behind in processing your images?
Yeah, I am right now. I'm almost 2 years behind on my images, but you know what I figure someday, right, I'm going to be 88 years old, and I'm not going to be able to get out there and take pictures anymore, but I can still sit in front of a monitor and process.
And I don't see that as behind. I see that as like a savings account. That you can draw from and play with and, do what you want with. That's like money in the bank.
Well, Kelly, it's interesting that you say that, because one of the things, I actually don't mind being behind, and right now, like I said, I've got about 22,000 photographs that are actually done that I've never published, and I pull from that every day and publish more. I kind of have this idea that over the next 20 or 30 years, that archive will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think there's something about a photograph, how it ages. Like you look at photographs from the 60s and 70s by William Eggleston or Stephen Shore, and there's that great standard gas station sign from 1972, and there's a nostalgia factor. And I think photographs can age like wine. So I like the idea of holding a lot of them back and waiting to have them released 20 years from now.
Well, do you think that we're going to be, like right now, I'm obsessed. I hate cars. I hate cars in my pictures. I look at them, I think they're ugly. But I wonder, because 20 years ago, I let the cars stay in the picture, and I don't know if I thought they looked better then, but they look kind of cool now. But in 20 years, I can't imagine any of these cars on the road are going to look cool when they're in part of the picture.
You know, you never know. Maybe cars are just uglier now.
I think they are.
We're going to all be wearing jetpacks anyway, so cars will be really awesome.
Ooh, beat me up.
Well, you know, Leanne, though, I think that is the challenge, though, to think about. You know, William Eggleston, people ask him, like, well, you know, when you took that picture of that neon sign at this place, and did you realize how iconic it was going to be 20 years later and how much? And he was like, no, that's just what was in the South. That's just what I was shooting in the South. And I think it's hard to tell, but I think about it more consciously and think about, you know, you look at like modern architecture from the 60s and the 70s, or you look at like a motel room, or Stephen Shore has a picture of just like a cheeseburger and french fries and a Coke from McDonald's back in 1972 or something. And, you know, I spend a lot of time trying to think about, well, what is it that will look interesting 20 or 30 years from now? And I don't think it's cars, but I think it's other things. I think street art might be one of them. I think neon signs, I shoot a lot of those. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I like the idea of nostalgia factor and thinking about what a photograph's going to look like 20 or 30 years down the road.
I like to take photos of people on cell phones and people standing outside in the street smoking cigarettes, because I think those are two things that in 20 years, I don't know what we're going to be thinking about, but everybody with a cell phone or them all smoking cigarettes outside, because, you know, it's a sign of what's going on right now. There is no place smokers can smoke indoors, but everybody's so wired with cell phones now, it's crazy. Who knows? We'll have embedded chips, you know?
Yeah, who knows? 20 years from now, maybe nobody will smoke anymore, right?
And maybe find a substitute for cell phones.
I'm with you, Leanne. I hate getting cars in my photos. If I see something really beautiful, a beautiful landscape or an old building, if there's like a Ford Taurus in front of it, I will just not take the photo. It just ruins the timelessness of it to me.
Well, you know, the photo that you showed before of the street art of the eye, that's this great guy, JR, from Paris. Actually, you can see on TED, as a TED Talk.
Yeah, I've seen his talk.
You know, if there was a car in front of it, that's in Greenwich Village. There's one in Houston Street, and it's absolutely impossible for me to photograph it without a car in front of it. I'm thinking maybe I need to go down there really early in the morning someday so there are no cars, because for me that just destroys it. You know?
Yeah.
You know, here's something I'm interested in. Lotus, you take a lot of self-portraits. Do you have any tips, or, I mean, I know you use a remote to take those, and you want to talk about those at all?
Tips for taking self-portraits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I mean, I started doing it years ago because I wasn't in any of the photos. You know, there was so many photos of everyone else around me. So I'd look through years of photos and wonder, you know, eventually it's just going to look like I wasn't even a part of my own story.
I'm going to the bathroom.
Right, but
He doesn't want to know how to take self-portraits.
but the self-portraits that you take are very elegant. They're very artistic. They're very. I mean, I get the sense that you do sessions, that you plan them out, that it's not just something haphazard.
Yep, I need a personal lesson.
Actually, it's often haphazard. Like if I have a specific theme I want to do, I'll set it all up. But I've only started doing that recently, and more often it's haphazard. Like I'll just decide I want to take some self-portraits, and I'll just do something on a whim, and I'll take a bunch, and then I'll find the few that I really like, and they speak to me when I see them. There's some emotion I can attach to them. They move me in some way, and I process them based on that. And then on the times that I set it up, I have an emotion or something ahead of time. Like, I actually have one.
Yeah, throw one up there. Throw one of your self-portraits up there.
Not to, go into depression, but I spent a good amount of time in my mid-20s, and I was clinically depressed, and I decided to try to capture that feeling. And one of the things that I did a lot when I was really depressed was I spent a lot of time in the shower. I just sat in the shower. And it's that sense of, wash away my pain kind of feeling.
Right.
And so I, for this Selfie Sunday, a couple of weeks ago, I did this.
Yeah, see, I love that. I think that's fantastic.
And so that, it shows, I felt like it would show that vulnerability, but that pain. But, I took like 30 or 40. And,
are you using a timer to do that, or how are you taking that? Are you using a remote?
I broke my remote for this. This was a $25 self-portrait.
Oh, was it? What happened?
I've actually taken that remote in the shower before and gotten it wet, and I guess it was just one too many times this time.
I rolled my eyes at the 25
wireless
or 30.
remote can take a certain amount of shower time, and then it's done.
Oh, the things we do for art.
By the way, that's how I felt after my night at Thomas Hawk's.
Yes. I took some photos like that of Trey in the shower at my house. And
no, I think he meant he felt so dirty.
Yeah.
Trey looks good in that position too in the shower.
Okay, hey, let me show you guys. I'll show you guys something cool.
I can't get that out of my brain.
Let's shift gears from depression and homoeroticism to something else. So check this out. This is my most awesome find in China. This is this Hello Kitty Fujifilm camera. I looked all over trying to get this. I think it's popular in Japan. And what's really cool about it is that, here, I'll use to take a picture of us. Notice. So it's got this little, oh, shoot.
Yeah, good job.
Well, anyway, you'll see what happens. See that? Look at that. It's got
nice.
like the old Polaroid style. So I got it for my daughter, of course, not me.
Yeah.
Then
the one who's using it right now.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? So, and that's one of the neat things about a Polaroid is no matter how awful the picture is, it comes out just looking awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That's
but anyway,
great.
this is a great find, and I'm sure it's available on the internet. And it's really fun if you have kids, or it's kind of retro and really nice industrial design and cool.
And I'm sure since you bought it in China, it is actually officially licensed by Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
At the official Hello Kitty store.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Hello Caddy. Hello Caddy.
Hey, well, we've been going for a while here. We should probably tie things up, at least as far as the official recording is concerned. Does anyone have any final questions or comments or anything they want to get off their chest?
Yes,
like
who's not wearing any pants? You know the question was begging to be asked.
I'm wearing.
She's got pants.
I'm not wearing any pants.
You are a gimme. Anybody
really
else?
Prove it.
I'd just like to apologize for anyone
Again, like
thought
my
that I took.
5-year-old, by the way, who I had to keep shushing into the next room because he's pantsless.
Yeah, okay, you want to see me prove it just a little bit? Here, look.
Yes, just a little bit.
Oh.
Oh, another image I can't get out of my brain.
All right, there you go. See? Not the full crotch shot, though.
Hey, Trey.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was in before, but my phone dropped it. So, but anyway, I got back in. Yeah, wondering if you wouldn't mind if I just did a little plug.
Oh,
for an
please
upcoming-
plug away.
Yeah.
I don't mind that one bit. So don't hesitate. Go for it.
Maximilian Majowski and Craig Ship have got going on is we're doing a hangout or a photo hangout show. And this will be obviously based around photography, and what we want to do is invite photographers from G Plus into the show, and we want to do this every Tuesday. So we're going to have our first one this Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. But yeah, so I just wanted to get it out there and see if we can get this thing going. So we have a number of photographers lined up, and just go from there.
Can you say the name of it again? I'm sorry.
It's photohangout.com.
Yeah, Helen's on there too, right?
Yes, Helen is one of our first guests. And you know, as we go, we're going to hopefully streamline it and get some more guests on. So I think it's
on at 6:30. But what time zone are we talking about?
That's Eastern Standard Time, North America.
Okay.
So that'll be New York time.
I'm curious. Do you guys have it set up where people can watch live right now? I know there are a few slots where you could kind of compete for a spot in the actual Hangout, but have they got it set up where anyone can just watch it while it's going on?
Yes, we're going to have it recorded as well as get it live streamed. And as we're going to do it right now is we're going to have people ask questions beforehand, and then from there, based on those questions, we will bring those people into the Hangout, and they can ask their questions during the live show. So we're gonna focus on many different aspects of photography, be it nature, landscape, street photography, fashion photography, wedding photography. Hopefully we can get Scott Jarvie in there. And yeah.
He's not selling ho-hos.
Yeah, and yeah, it should be good.
All right, excellent. Anybody else have anything they want to say before we close up shop?
Sorry I didn't share too much earlier. Someone came and toured the gallery, so I jumped to kind of.
Okay, we were able to see that you had pants on, so.
Yeah, so you lose too.
Yeah.
God, you're way too loud.
I know that they're tearaway pants, so something crazy's coming up.
Well, guys, it was great meeting everyone.
Yeah, nice talking to you, Leanne. Nice talking to everybody else. And sorry, David, you just arrived in time for us to shut down.
Yeah, poor timing.
No problem, but thanks, everybody. And,
Another good hangout.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll do it again sometime. So everyone wave goodbye. And Keith can turn off the recording. Bye.
Bye.